Whether you're looking to buy your own home or an investment property in 2024, and whether it's your first or fifth investment, today's video is packed with ideas on how you can buy the best property in 2024. Now, in today's video, my sister Crystal and I are going to talk about 10 different ideas that you can leverage off or use to get the best outcome and set yourself and your family up for the future this year. Now, I wanted to kick off today's video with a bit of the lighter and fluffier stuff. The first thing I wanted to discuss was vision. Now, to me, vision is as simple as shutting your eyes or deciding on the type of future and lifestyle that you want down the line. For me personally, I want choices in my future, the choice to spend time with the people I care about, to do work that's meaningful for me, to help other people, to have a passive income stream coming in for life, whether I wake up or don't wake up and go to work that day. I want time to train, time to travel, time to adventure, time with my kids and my partner to do the things that I love doing that bring joy to my life. No, but vision only has ever gotten me so far. To achieve my vision, I need to break it down to shorter and longer term goals. So Crystal, what could that actually look like for someone starting out this year?
So to really achieve the vision that you want for your future, you do need to break it down to those goals. So when we think about the goals that we have to achieve that vision you've got for your future, we're breaking it down into your short-term goals, so something you want to achieve within the next 12 months, or longer-term goals, which is your 5 to 15-year time period. Those short-term goals or something you want to achieve in your next 12 months is usually very, very simple. You're either saving money, so that first deposit or a deposit for that house, or buying a house within that 12-month period. Some people come to us and they want to buy 2 or 3 properties in a short period, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It can be as simple as having 1 or 2 goals that you want to achieve in a 12-month period. And then when you're looking at those longer-term goals, that's when you're loading it up with other things around what is the passive income you want to achieve within a 15-year period? What do you want your life to look like that's going to help you live that life in alignment with your values? So it might be reducing your hours at work, being in a position to send your kids to private school, starting your own business, owning your own home outright, relocating or having a sea change. These are the things that you want to see in your 5 to 15-year future that is actually going to help you live the life that you see when you close your eyes and have that vision.
You know, I really like that. I think for most of us watching this video, and us included, we definitely want to own our own homes outright. We definitely want to be spending more time with the people we care about, and we definitely want somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 per year of passive income in retirement to give us that peace and those choices down the line in the future. So I think strategy is the third thing that I want to talk about, and is super important part of this journey towards building the best property portfolio this year. Now, when I first started out as an investor, this is really bad to say, but I just thought whoever bought the most properties would win. And that was sort of my only goal. I had no plan, I had no strategy, I had really no goals except buy a property every single time the bank would lend me money. Now, what that meant is that by the time I got to, I think, somewhere between my 6th and 9th property, I didn't own all of them at that time because I sold a lot of properties on my journey. But I realized really clearly, and we were talking at that point in my life, I think it was back in about 2017 or so, where I was like, shit, I've got all of these properties, but it's not actually in alignment with the life that I want now, which is more time with the people I care about, to cut down from like 60 or 70 hours a week at that point to sort of 30 to 35, and to not work weekends or Fridays anymore. And so I actually went through this process, which hopefully you don't have to because you haven't made as many mistakes as I did, where you can sort of just start from scratch. Now, if I was starting from scratch and looking to achieve or build a portfolio that would give me $100,000 per year in passive income, then our 2 properties to financial freedom strategy, which you can look at videos on our YouTube channel, or our 3 properties to financial freedom strategy, could be a great place to start. But put really, really, really simply, this idea would be to go out there and buy 2 investment properties in your accumulation or your first phase. Then once you've bought those 2 properties, slowly pay them off over time. And in our videos, we explain the 5 ways to pay these properties off sooner. And then once you've paid them off, you're obviously in that freedom choices phase where you can do meaningful work and help the world become a better place, because you're no longer reliant on your job as your primary source of income. Your primary source of income is now coming in passive, whether you sort of wake up or don't wake up and do the work that day. So that strategy is the simplest way that I've been able to figure out how to get from A to B if you're just starting out. But many of the people that work with us already might own their own home or a number of investment properties and just want to take it to the next level. Now, for those of you, it's really a case of reviewing where you're at and then deciding on where you want to go and figuring out how to bridge that gap in the safest, lowest risk and lowest maintenance way. For some people, they might already have an incredible portfolio or their own dream home owned, and they're simply investing because in 15 years, they want to sell a couple of properties to put a whole bunch of cash in the bank or pay off their own home like our mum's trying to do. So there's lots of different ideas and strategies on your path to freedom, but the most important thing is following best practice, which means buying houses in metro markets close to the city, close to the beach, that are tenant ready, on nice big piece of land in quality suburbs and quiet streets. And if you follow those rules, regardless of where you buy in Australia, you'll end up in a better position in 2024 than the 90% of people that aren't watching this sort of stuff.
Cool. So you've got your vision, you've narrowed it down to your short and long-term goals, you've got a strategy in place or a clear plan in place on how to get there. Your next step is pre-approval. So working towards actually affording that property, getting yourself in a position to actually buy that property, your next property. So working with a mortgage broker or the right partners to help you get yourself pre-approved. In terms of getting your pre-approval, you can work with a mortgage broker, work with your bank manager. It is usually a pretty simple process. They're obviously going to ask for a whole heap of documents and you've got to be prepared in getting them to them. But once you know exactly what you can borrow and they've reviewed your position, then you can go out there and smash it in the market.
You know, so one of two things is going to happen with the pre-approval, right? They're either going to say, yes, you can borrow money and it could be 400K, it could be a lot more than you want to spend. Often people can borrow $1 or $2 million and they're like, what? Or they're going to say, hey, like you can't borrow some money. And when they say that, don't just take the no, but go, well, why am I getting this no? Like, do I need more savings? Do I need my income to be higher? Or is it just that this bank doesn't like me and doesn't want new investment business this year and I can find a different mortgage broker with access to more lenders that can help? But I think it's really, really important that when you get those rejections, to not take them personally and to not sit on the sidelines like so many Australians do for 4 or 5 years, but to figure out a plan of attack. And your plan for the next 12 months could really just be, hey, I need to save some more money, or I need to, now that wages have gone up so much, transfer or put some pressure on my boss to sort of jump me up to where I need to be to borrow money. Next step from there, once you've got your pre-approval and your plan and your strategy in place, is to figure out, are you going to continue to do this on your own? Are you going to go out there to the market and find a partner to help you do this? Or are you going to partner with someone like us, a buyer's agent that can help you get a plan in place, help you identify the right market, the right suburb, the right state, and the right type of property, introduce you to an entire team of advisors along the journey, and then deeply, deeply educate you as an investor so that next time round you can do it on your own with confidence and you've got a whole bunch of new tools and skills and relationships in your life that you can lean on, like coaches and mentors and friends that can help you on that journey to financial freedom as you move forward. So once you've made that decision to either keep doing it on your own or to find a partner, then it's a case of really identifying the right market, the right suburb and the property. Now, we've done really deep videos together on that stuff, but do you want to just give people a really high level of how or what you like in an ideal market and what you like in an ideal suburb?
So for us, the right market looks like any of the major metro markets in Australia, like Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, any of the major regional markets like the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast, Geelong, Newcastle, those sorts of things, following the fundamentals when it comes to identifying a market. So we really love the look of Brizzy because it's so undervalued compared to the likes of Sydney and Melbourne. Within Brisbane, we're looking for areas that are close to the city or close to the beach, or as close to the city or beach that you could afford. We're looking for good quality houses on large blocks, quiet family-friendly streets. We're looking for suburbs that have great access to infrastructure and amenities. So great schools nearby, good transport options nearby, either a solid bus route or train line, things like hospitals, universities, great shopping centres, good main roads that may take you in and out of the city. We're looking for areas that have strong incomes, a high percentage of owner-occupiers, and a lower percentage of renters. We're looking for areas that have solid demographics, your mums and dads type buyers, family-friendly areas that are going to have good long-term potential for capital growth and that are undervalued right now.
For sure. And then once you've nailed the market and the suburbs, we get down to the property level. It's not rocket science, guys. Bigger the blocks of land, the better. We like stuff between 400 and 1,000 square meters when we can get it. Quiet streets, nice big backyard for the family. If possible, open sort of living, dining, kitchen onto the backyard type setups with good sized bedrooms. It doesn't have to be any harder than that. But what you really want to do in 2024 is narrow it down to one market, for example, Queensland, one city, Brisbane, one part of the city, for example, North or South Brisbane, and then a couple of suburbs. And once we get it to that suburb level, that's when the fun really begins, / the crazy part of the journey. So what we do is we set up some simple alerts on realestate.com. Let's say that we've decided on the northern beaches in Brisbane because they look really good right now and the guys in the financial review are frothing on the area. And we decide we're going to look at Redcliffe and Clontarf, for example. So we call a couple of the local agents, we tell them what we're looking for. We set up the alerts on realestate.com. For example, Redcliffe, Clontarf, houses on 500 plus square metre blocks of land under whatever price point you want to set for yourself because the broker's told you that. And then we just play the waiting game where we sort of call the agents each week, have a look on realestate.com each day, and then the right one comes up. Now, the market is really hot right now. So Crystal and I are using what's called our two-step negotiation process. So really briefly, what's that look like in a hot market like this one?
So a lot of the agents are going to let you in on what the property should be selling for, or at least the seller's expectations for what the property is going to sell for, or it's going to have an asking price online. So when it comes to negotiating, you want to get as much information out of the agent before putting forward your first offer, especially when you're only planning on putting 2 offers forward. So the first step is simple. It's your first offer. We want to do a good offer based on the agent's feedback and pretty good terms. So in Queensland, you're allowed to accompany your offer with terms and conditions. That might look like a 14 or 21 day finance clause. It might look like a 7 to 14 day building and pest clause, settlement terms of anywhere between 30 and 60 days. Things like that is what we talk about when we mean terms of the contract, and then the price as well that's going to go with it. So that price, you want to take feedback from the agent and put forward a price that's good based on that feedback, but not quite your best offer yet. And step 2 is where we go great offer, great terms. So if you're in a position to reduce your finance clause, bring back the number of days for the building and pest clause, discuss with the agent exactly what settlement the sellers want, so bringing back the settlement terms as short as they can possibly be, or in some instances a little bit longer if the seller needs to move out. The great offer doesn't always mean the shortest amount of time. It basically just means what is going to sell to the sellers because it's what they need, as well as the best possible price. So discussing whether there's other offers on the table, what those offers have been if they're in a position to tell you, what your first offer was, whether you received a counter offer from the seller, and then that second offer is taking into consideration all of those things and giving the agent exactly what they think is going to sell the property to the sellers. Right.
Awesome, that was so good.
Sell the property to the sellers. Come back to me. Exactly what is going to sell your offer to the sellers of the property so that they'll eventually sell the property to you.
You know, for us, terms are really important. So talk to your solicitor before you put any offers in to make sure you're protected and that you can safely look at the property, do your own due diligence on the property, which is sort of our next step. So for me personally, I also want to put a due diligence clause in the contract and a whole bunch of other stuff to protect myself and my clients. We would normally then at that point obviously go and inspect the property. You'd want to see the property if you could yourself, otherwise pay a third party inspector to go have a look, or your buyer's agent would go and have a look. On top of that, you want a building and pest inspection, the solicitor to review the property, obviously the broker to organise the valuation and all the finance stuff. Depending on your strategy, you also want to engage like an insurance broker to look at insurance for the property, maybe a builder, building and pest inspector, engineers, certifiers, whatever you need to feel comfortable. Now, hopefully you're aiming for lower maintenance, tenant-ready properties, but there's a whole lot of variances in that. So due diligence is important, and that's why having some of those extra conditions in the contract can just give you a bit of breathing time. Obviously, agents don't absolutely love them, especially in a hot market when cash offers with no terms start coming out. But our advice has always been from our solicitors to ourselves and our clients that you're better protected and to lose a property than you are to buy the wrong property and put yourself in a really bad position down the line. One of the final steps, or the ninth step, is sort of managing the property. So you've gone through due diligence, everything looks okay, you've got finance sorted, and then you want to work with the property manager. Now, there's some really good property managers out there, there's some really bad ones, but in terms of looking after your property in the next few years, you really want someone that's going to inspect it at least 3 times a year, that's going to advertise it well, that's going to price it well, that knows the local market, and that also if the tenant, goes the wrong way, they stop paying their money, they start trashing the property, then they're happy to breach that tenant and take them to tribunal and boot them out of the property if they need to look after your property like it's their own. On top of that, I go a bit OCD, so each time tenants move out, I get sort of a bond clean, a bit of a weed and feed and a garden tidy up, and a bit of a high pressure wash down of the house. I've learned the hard way from having a lot of properties over the last sort of 14 years that, how well you treat them is the quality of your tenants and the quality of your management. To think that your manager's just going to look after the property without you managing your manager is crazy. I learned that the hard way as well. Yeah. So what I do is at the start of each year, send them an email and say, thank you so much for everything. This year I want 3 inspections. If there's any problems, I want you to fix them. If they're up to $250, if they're more than that, then get me 2 or 3 quotes and I'll have a look at them. I want to make sure the property's in the best condition possible. At the end of the financial year, I want these statements sent to me within a week of the end of the year, and I've had a look at the market. Here's what I think it could rent for. What's your feedback? And that's just an automated email once a year that saves me 99.9% of my time over the course of the year. But the last step, Crystal, is something that you and I have both done a whole bunch of times, and that is once it's all done, it's set and forget, the freak out's passed, then you're feeling good again. Talk about like the review process that you would go through. And I'm putting you on the spot there because...
Yeah, awesome. So once you've executed 9 out of the 10 steps, reviewing the process you've just gone through is a really exciting step. So I think it's super important to not only look at what you set out to do in the beginning and see where you are, but also just get excited for what you've just done. Like, you've just bought a freaking property. It's like one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life, which is amazing. So you want to just sit back, relax, and enjoy that is something that you've finally achieved and ticked off your goals. But then going back to what you said at the beginning, which is that vision and then your short and long-term goals. Was this property 1 in a 2 or 3 property process that you're looking to execute? Was this property number 5? Where are you with where you want to be right now in the next 5 years and the next 15 years? And how does that property fit into it? So when you work with a partner like us, we're in a position to sit back and actually do that with you, have some strategy sessions at the end of the process and figure out how does this property tie in with exactly where you want to be long term, and what do your next steps look like from off the back of this property to actually help you get there.
And those next steps are super simple, like we talked about before. You're either in a position to do something again, and then you've got a choice point. Well, I'm fatigued and I just don't want to for a while, or hey, I'm feeling really good, I'm more educated, I'm more excited, my plan's in place, my team's in place, I know what I want and I'm going to go again. Or I can't do anything at all. So broker, what do I need to do? Well, you might need to save some money, increase your income, or wait for some equity. And I've had periods, and so have you, like this, where I could literally do nothing for 3 or 4 years straight. And so I just enjoyed my life. And if that's where you're at, then absolutely have the best time and just trust that this process is going to work out, that longer term you will get a plan in place that makes you financially free and you will have financial peace down the line. Now, for those of you who are seriously thinking about buying a property this year or next year, we would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. Just jump over to www.pumkedonproperty.com, click that free strategy session button, and we can talk about where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term. We can share ideas like the 2 property strategy and the 3 property strategy with you and what's going on in the current market. We can evaluate your position and point you in the right direction of brokers and people that can help. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the extremely small number of clients that we work with as buyers agents up here in Queensland each week. But either way, I wish you guys absolutely all the best on your journey to financial freedom and financial peace in your future.
Woo! That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Getting
Have a
cool,
spin.
bro. Yeah. Oh, sweaty. So sweaty.
Oh, that's good. That's
So nice, eh?